It was a very insular village. It was a good village. I always, all my life, I always loved Dervock, and I always will, because it was just homely, something special.
The fields around here, we know so much that people were drawn here because of the fields and what's being found in them, and people are still using them to grow their own food.
We're a small rural community, so farming probably is one of the main industries we've had in the local area, you know. So again, like, if you go back to 1901, 1911, the census, some of those farming families are still situated where they were like literally over 100 years, you know. So the population doesn't really move from the area.
The main feature of Dervock, the markets that used to be held here were very successful back in the Napoleonic times. They were known for horse trading. There would be linen. Close by, you have this wonderful fertile agricultural land.
This area, this whole area we sit in is agricultural. It used to be a lot more wee farms. Wee farms who were hiring men and women at hiring fairs and stuff. It was all very intense manual labour.
It was very important because it created a lot of work. I remember them coming, when I was coming from school, the workers would have said you could get a good day's pay out at McKay's because they had good flax. Our land was good for growing flax. Any land close to the river bush.
This place was, I think there were 5 flax mills at a time. The flax industry that's gone. It just couldn't sustain against more modern methods. But whenever that was all hand done, hand pulled, hand into the dam, out of the dam, dried, then bundled up waiting for a good market. All them old mills were just steeped in history.
Well, now, Dervock was a good flax mill. I remember us growing flax, and there's no such a thing now as Irish linen. And generally speaking, the gland for flax was a wee bit on the heavy side. It wasn't suitable on dark land, mossy land. And after a crop of corn, you turned round and sowed flax and sowed the field out. And then the following year you had hay. And you turned round and had it in a flax stack of the like of the Scotchers, and the mill was down there in Dervock. Where a river went, you had to pour the water for the wheel to drive the machinery. That's the idea. And that was the Irish linen. And Northern Ireland was famous for its linen and Irish linen. That market, I think, is gone now. I never hear of it.
As a rural community, agriculture would have been very important to the families here, to the economy. They would have either been tenant farmers, or they owned their farm, or they worked to a farmer. And I'm very aware that many people told me in the past, not so much now because it's all mechanised, but not so long ago there would have been an unofficial fortnight's holiday for many of the school children who would have went and picked potatoes and earned a bit of money doing some back-breaking work.
Everybody cut peats. You know, that was like another social thing. Well, it couldn't be too social, because if you start with everybody and you're way up to cut peats, you get bugger all done. You had to keep, how you doing, Wally? Oh, Jimmy, Yanni, with you? Aye. That's good for that wee last year. But you just kept steaming on. You never get nothing done. But it was, everybody done it. Cut your peats, you cut them, you dried them, stacked them, drew them home, and everybody was sitting with one of them essentials always readily available. And you'd meat and you'd heat, but you'd one of them sorted if you went to the mills. I always look back and I had overwhelming fondness for that time. The big buck being we lived on the edge of the mills. So there wasn't that far to go to get into the fuel. There was maybe four or five workers at any given time because there were very few knows. And all the local folk That was another thing. They talked about moron. If your piece was ready for coming out, they'd have come, said to me, Charlie, the only chance of getting some of them youngins to draw me down a couple of loads. Aye, surely gone ahead. What would I need to give you? No, come up some evening work on the wind done, so you can cloud a wind test. And that's the way it worked. It was all backs. It was a back scratcher's world, I suppose.
Well, I'll tell you, with a date of birth of 4/7/1938, my earliest recollection was I come home from school one morning at 10 o'clock and my father was hanging a gate. And he says, why are you back from school? And I said to him, says I, it's a holiday the day the war's by. And that was 1945. We got our first tractor, the first Ferguson, in 1949. And after that, and then the 2-4 plough. And I just said to him, tell me, what was a good day's work then? He says, when you were ploughing with a pair of horses, an acre in the day was a very big day's work. You were tired afterwards, and so was the horses. An acre in the day. And now with these reversible ploughs, they're just turn it over and swing it around and turn it over. It's powerful altogether. To come from there to now, powerful changes.
Progress, I hate to take a step back and say it's not a bad thing, but it is the other effect that when you had a dozen boys working on a place, now probably the farmer and his son with £1 million quid's worth of machinery, now there's a sting in the tail, can do the same as that dozen boys done. But there need camaraderie, there need big stories, there need, did you hear about such a thing on the weekend?
I've been told a few tales about Dervock in the past, and one that always comes up is the brig or the bridge, and that's where everybody met during the day to swap gossip and to talk and to find out what was happening in Dervock and in the rest of the world. That was the gathering point. Many people have mentioned that to me. Old and young, it seems to be a story that endures. I'm not sure if they still do, but it would be a lovely tradition to bring back.
Farming was very, very, and still is, very, very important to the village. A lot of people found their work went to the farms. Like when we were young boys, this is also just the way I'll get to talk away, we did it to him. We were at Pruitt together, and I seen a tractor with an open, just an ordinary flatbed trailer, and 26 hanging on to each other in the back of that. Ventricle to Anfield and that together, Pruitt. If you caught doing that now, that did jail you a million miles away. No. Farms were good to the folk.
When you come into the village of Dervock, you'll see the bridge and the river. And the river's important because that's where a mill would initially have been built, making use of the river itself. And that's most likely how the village grew up around it. The mill provided work and the mill provided income for people, and it became as well a focal point for the people around here. The aspect of having the markets there as well, people would have gathered here. This was a gathering point, and that's where the people would have gathered for the markets on a regular basis.
I remember my father saying, my goodness, this is Dervock Fair. And probably it was the second or third Tuesday in the month. Oh my goodness, he would have said, looked up, what date is it? This is naming date. This is Dervock Fair.
The very fact that there were a blacksmith shop on it interests me, because the blacksmith shop was undoubtedly one of the universities for my language. And you listen to all the old boys talking about this and talking about that, but they were talking as I talk now. there wasn't, you only heard an English word in it. They were broader than I could possibly ever hope to be, because some of, and sadly, some of the words are disappearing along with the trades that, tools that a blacksmith used, tools that a farmer used. There were words for all them things. They're disappearing, and it is nobody's fault other than progress, which seems to be to blame for everything. But them tools, them very personalised things, they're going, and there's nothing we can do about it, really.
In this autumn time at harvest, a lot of the Dervock men used to go across to Scotland, to Galloway and so forth. They were there to bring on the harvest. Some of them actually married Scottish girls and stayed there. Some brought the Scottish girls home with them. But they had a mouth organ band. And in other words, in Scotland they were called mouthies. If you want to go on the internet and look for them, you get, I think there's maybe one or two in Scotland yet.
As we move on, younger people are better educated. They're searching for better jobs. So the genuine village folk are going to be city folk in a short time because of the necessity to go there for the work.
They talk about progress. Progress at a price. The price of land now, you couldn't make money off it. They're talking about 20,000 an acre. There's no return on capital if you're buying land. You couldn't make it. That's all right if you're well enough off and a wee bit comes next to you and you can afford to buy it. The trouble is, if you sell it, you never can buy it back again. There no money can be made off it, but at the same time, if you sell land, you never can buy it back again. My father in 1939 started and I bought 49 acres for £900.
Whenever your need drives you to make a pound to keep your family, you're in a different gear. You hit pension age, you can't wait to get back to that slower pace. Foot about in the garden. Well, I didn't want to foot about in the garden. Well, no bother at night. You hear that choice again. You never had that when you were earning, but it means that you can go back to a more relaxed, more even flowing way of life.